Hello and welcome back. Tonight's movie, The Watcher. Now, this is an old Keanu Reeves movie. I actually forgot to look at what year. 92. So it was a very old Keanu Reeves movie.
That's way longer.
So yeah, this must have been pre-Matrix then, I think. But this was actually not a horror movie. This was more of just a crime thriller. And actually, fun story about this one, Keanu Reeves didn't want to do the movie. A friend of his forged his signature on the contract and accepted on his behalf. And this is a true story, he was unable to prove that it was forged, and eventually he gave in to avoid a lawsuit and bad drama in Hollywood. But yeah, he never actually wanted to do the movie.
I would not be friends with that person. Because this was a shit movie. And Keanu Reeves could not save it.
No. He did a good job. Like, you can tell he was still putting effort into it. He still acted.
Didn't seem like it to me. Didn't seem like it to me.
See, I felt like he was still doing the role really well. It wasn't a great movie. Like, it didn't have good writing. It didn't have good character development.
I mean, that's definitely true. But also, no. Everyone seemed to kind of just be phoning it in. Honestly. Like, all the emotions in this movie were just so, for lack of better words, James Spadery, where he's just laid back and, like, half asleep.
Well, I mean, he was supposed to be a drug-addicted character, so that fits him at least his character. Yeah, overall it was, I don't know, I'd say it was about average. Like, it feels like an early 90s movie. It wasn't overwhelmingly good or anything. It was just kind of there.
It's like a bad episode of Law and Order.
So every episode of Law and Order?
No, like a bad episode.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it just, I don't know, it was very predictable. Like, you knew what was going to happen every time, all the way. It was very, not necessarily slow, but anticlimactic. Like, there was no big events that really drove everything forward. There was nothing that really stood out. It was very average and by the numbers. They made a movie, and it's exactly what you know was going to happen in a movie. They weren't trying to do anything new. They weren't trying to break new ground or tell an original story or write an interesting character. It was just, hey, these are things that have worked 100 times before. Let's do the things again.
Excuse me.
And, yeah, just kind of underwhelming.
A lot underwhelming.
I'd say somewhere between a 4 and a 5.
I was going to give it a 3.
Like, I didn't, it's not horrible. I've seen it before. This is my second time watching it. It's not, like, I'm not upset that I saw it, but it's not amazing. You don't have to go out of your way for it. It's just, it's a thing that's there.
You watched this more than once?
It's still better than a lot of the movies we've seen this year.
I would never watch this again. Now, here's the question. If you knew it wasn't a horror, why is it in the horror movie marathon?
I don't remember that much about the movie. I remember that Keanu Reeves was a killer in a movie. I actually didn't even remember that James Spader or Marissa Tomei, I can never remember her name. I didn't even remember that they were in the movie, or Ernie Hudson for that matter.
So do you like Google all your movies and look at the genres and see if this is listed under horror, or do you just guess and say, oh,
yes,
there's a murder in it, so it must be a horror movie?
Yes, pretty much that. Most of the movies on the list are ones that I know they have elements of horror, so I throw them in and we watch and see what happens. Do you know how many more B-budget movies I'd have to buy if I filled out every year with exclusively things that are rated as horror?
Yes. That's why I suggested only doing a 10-day marathon next year.
Well, there are 31 days in October. Take it up with the people that invented the calendar. The Mayans or Romans or who... It was the Romans that gave us the current calendar, so it's their fault.
That don't mean you need to do
Julius
31
Caesar,
days.
take it up with him. But yeah, that was the movie. It's very meh. It's not really, don't go out of your way, don't bother. If it's on, you don't have to turn the channel, but it's certainly not the best movie.
Took all the wind out of my sails, I tell you what. Like, you had this good streak of like 3 good days of movies, and now it's just plumbing me down, and I'm back into this, why did I sign up for this bullshit?
Yesterday was the Color Out of Space movie.
And I gave
we
that...
did not have 3 straight days of good movies.
I gave that one, what, 5 or 6, something like that?
It was visually appealing, but it was not a good movie. But anyway, yeah, that's this one, and come back tomorrow for a different one. Okay, bye.